when we were halfway through the Hackney Empire, you will need money, I've no doubt. So we had to try and find 15 million. Originally, in the early days of the lottery, it was assumed that there was a sort of shooting basis for the lottery. It was just dripping money, and all you had to do was go and apply. And I remember going to a meeting where we started to talk about how much money we would raise in order to do this. And we started at somewhere about 12 million. By the time we'd been there 15 minutes, various people had said, why don't we add that? And we add that. And we'd actually got to a princely sum of about 32 million, I think. And I had to say, whoa, hold on for just a minute. If you want to raise money in any large, then say you get going with your jumble sales and your benefits and bringing people in and the odd sort of art auction, you have to raise £1,000 a day, including Sundays, for 3 years to raise £1 million. The money, when you start getting into millions, suddenly begins to become a very easy sum for politicians and boards to sit around and sort of and dangle and dangative and suddenly sort of increase in all directions. But actually, in truth, the raising of money is a complicated and difficult business. And yet, it is there. And it will be done and found by people who have passion. The reason why the call is out to everybody to support Bradford One and get behind them is because that money that's available across Europe and is available in this country and is available from charities is available to people who show that they have passion and they show that they're prepared to get the community behind them and work to preserve these buildings. You will need matching funds. I remember we had to take Mohammed Al Fayed. I wondered whether Mohammed Al Fayed would care to give us some money for the Hackney Empire. I took Mr. Al Fayed out to Hackney. He arrived, he had an elaborate scheme for arriving, and when we were all standing by the theatre with Roland Muldoon, who was a sort of anarcho-syndicalist in his time, and various members of the board who were strong and powerful left of centre Labour people. And we waited for Mohammed Al Fayed to arrive. A massive limousine drew up outside, and out of the limousine got 4 or 5 men wearing dark suits, patting pockets and doing that with their ears. And they stood around, and then a white van rolled up, and they opened the back of the van, and Mohammed stepped out of that. And he came into the theatre, and we had a pantomime on at the theatre, and he walked through the set, and as you can imagine, the Widow Twinkie's house was sort of built out of a bit of sort of flat with a cardboard and canvas, painted canvas. And as he walked round backstage, he took hold of this canvas set, and he rattled it like this, and he said, "Yes, I can see a lot of work needs doing here." We walked him up to the very top of the theatre, a magnificent, like a cathedral-like space, and we stood him looking over the. There's a window in the back bar looking over the Mare Street and the town hall, and they were setting the rate that day, and there was a major noisy demonstration going on in the square below, and Mr. Al Fayed stood there, looked down and nodded sagely at the demonstration that was going on. Roland, the former Trotskyite, explained to him that this was a demonstration against the setting of the rate. He said, "Yes, I completely understand." He said, he turned to us and he said, "And you know why this is happening?" And we said, "No." And he said, "It's because Tony Blair is a homosexual." I turned to Roland and 2 of the members of the board, looked at them, they looked at Mohammed Al Fayed, and they said, yes, that's... You may have to crawl through some hoops on the way, make strange bedfellows, one kind or another. It was a huge success. Mohammed loved the theatre, and a week later he rang me and offered to buy it. He had to explain that unfortunately it wasn't for sale. So I wanted him to just give me some money, but in the end he decided against that. But we went on, and in the end Sir Alan Sugar stepped forward and gave us our matching funds. And not only that, when I first asked him, he said, he rang me one Christmas, he said, "How much do you want?" And I said, "Oh, Sir Alan, oh, I've just been at a meeting. Yes, 800,000 is what we're looking for at the moment. Put me down for that. So I thought, fantastic, how brilliant. I rang the theatre and said, Alan Sugar, all that work of sending him letters, and he's been a big supporter and done a lot of things to help us. I said, it's paid off. He's going to give us 800,000. And Roland said, oh, I'm right. Well, in fact, it's more like 1,250,000. So, okay. All right. Just in case anybody thinks that maybe I'm a weak man, I have to go back to Alan Sugar and say, you know, I said 800,000. In fact, it's 1.25 million. A long pause, and he said, all right, okay, we can do that. It's fantastic. So I know that along the way, it may seem that it's a very difficult job to do this. It is complicated, but it's also something that can be, and will need to be done. And it needs extreme dedication from the people who are here. And for that, I salute you. I'm on a sort of tour with Civic Voices, the president of Civic Voices. It's merely an honorary role. I was rung up one day and they said, be president of Civic Trust, which I said, oh yeah, of course I'd love to do this. They said it's an honorary, you don't do anything at all, we just put your name on the letterhead and that's all you do. I said, fantastic, great. So I signed up, and then about a month later it went bankrupt. So what happened then was that Civic Trust became Civic Voice, and I felt that what was interesting was that there was a sort of disconnection at the time between what effectively become a bit of a quango and the organisation of civic societies across it. And I'm glad to say that what Civic Voice now does is sort of really work far more coherently, I think, with its local societies, of which there are a great many. There are 7,000 members of civic societies across Yorkshire. There are 48 separate civic societies. And if you are reporting this for the news and you're thinking, we don't have a civic society, I urge you to have one. Because the business of being involved in these decisions that are going to be made means that it's important that people who care about the urban fabric, about what it looks like, what it feels like, and whether we're going to actually face the 21st century with huge empty retail parks as we all go and shop on the internet, those sort of decisions require that people who are not incentivised merely by the amount of dough they can make out of it get involved in these decisions. I'm going to go as the president and meet some of those societies. I'm off to Leeds, and I'm off to Addingham, and then I'm back to Leeds to speak at breakfast tomorrow, and I feel a bit like Roy Jenkins, who was, when he was first appointed Home Secretary, they took him to Pentonville Prison. And because they thought they'd better show him some of the things that he was getting responsible for as Home Secretary. And they lined all the old lags up. All the convicts were put in the well of the prison, obviously, out there. And they stood sort of staring up at him, rather as you're staring at me now. And he stood up on that bridge up on, the bridge on the top of the thing. This lady's nodding down here. She spent a lot of time in Pentonville Prison. And he looked down, and he looked at all the lads, and he said, with his customary charm, he said, how nice to see you all here. So I just want to echo that sentiment and say how nice to see you all here. Thank you for coming, and congratulations to Bradford One for their sterling effort in getting this building and giving it a new lease of life. Thank you.